Hey, my name is Ilya, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to create this cool infinite marquee that responds to your scroll speed and direction. So if you're new here, my name is Ilya. I'm an independent creative developer and co-founder of Osmo. Osmo is a platform that I've built together with Dennis, who you might know from the Copy Dennis portfolio. If you don't, make sure to check out the link in the description. But we've created this platform full of resources and components to help other creative developers speed up their workflow and get into the more creative and fun parts quickly, learn new things, get inspired, and basically, make our lives a bit easier by showcasing and providing you with resources that we use in our projects very often. For example, if we check out on the homepage here, our latest resources include a Vimeo background video, some fun button hovers to a magnetic button effect, or this marquee with scroll direction that we're going to implement today, to a cool page loader. So lots of resources, new things dropping very regularly. So make sure to head to the site to check out if you're interested in becoming a member. But yeah, let's get into creating this marquee here. All right, so I'm going to start this project in Webflow just to quickly show you my current setup. I've got a pretty empty project, nothing much going on here. I put in a couple divs that I called scroll space with a 60 VH height, just so I can quickly scroll the page later on and show you the actual changing of directions, because we need some room to scroll, of course. I have an embed ready if I need to do some custom CSS, and in my project settings, I've already connected a Slater file so that we can very easily write some JavaScript and refresh the page without having to wait for the page to publish. So if I head to the dashboard, and the actual dashboard, I'm already on the detail page for the marquee with scroll direction. And I'm just going to follow the steps right now to implement this into the project to kind of show you how quickly we can have something going on here. So since I'm using Webflow, I'll make sure that I'm in the Webflow tab, of course, and then the first step is copying the external scripts. We can use that button, and I'm just going to put them in my page settings right now, and I'm going to make sure that they're included before my Slater app, so that in the Slater file we can reference GSAP. I'm going to save it, head back, and I'm going to see that step one is copying this structure to Webflow. So in my main, I'm just going to paste this right now, drag this up a bit, and I'm going to see that I've copied a sort of example structure for the marquee with a design of some text and some Osmo icons going on over here. And if we open that up, we see that we got two marquee advanced elements going on with a whole bunch of attributes on them. And they're later on explained in the documentation below, here where we can control the direction, the speed, the scroll speed, the duplication of content, and all of that. Step two is going to be adding JavaScript, which I'm going to paste here. And then I do happen to know that in Slater specifically, we don't need the DOM content loaded event. So this kind of looks weird. Okay, quick resize solved it. And so we remove the init from the DOM content loaded. As far as I know, we don't need it. I might be wrong. And then there is some custom CSS for Webflow, but it says it's optional because this is rotating the arrow left and right based on scroll direction. So I'm just going to copy it so we can see what it does, including it in the embed between some style tags. That's important. Save and publish. So I'm just really rushing through this to quickly show you how quick we can have something going on using the vault. We see that we have a marquee with scroll direction, so it changes direction as you change, whether you're scrolling up and down. And we see that custom CSS in action changing the rotation of the arrow as we're scrolling up or down. So that could be fun. But I don't want this specific marquee. Here on Figma, I want this one, which is a little bit more, quite a bit more bright. So I want to show you guys how we can adapt the attributes to match any unique design that you got to get a marquee working. So yeah, let's implement this. To start, the important things that we do know is that everything happens with attributes. So the stuff that's going on in here doesn't matter too much. And I'm going to remove the second one so we can take this first one to start. If we open up the layers, there is a couple things going on. So we have the advanced marquee wrapper with the attributes that control the speed and everything. inside we have the scroll div. So this is the one, I believe, that's actually being moved by the JavaScript. And then we have a collection. And in this collection has an advanced item inside. And so the advanced item is the thing that houses the actual content that you want in your marquee. So in this case, that's a piece of text and an arrow. And in our custom case, for example, that's going to be some custom text. Text is always custom, but some text and a circle. So just going to be around div. And we want that duplicated. But the JavaScript takes care of the duplication. So we only have to do it once here. And the rest is going to be automated for us. And what's going to happen is that the JS is basically going to duplicate the item a couple times so that no matter how large the screen size is, basically the marquee will never have an empty spot. There's always going to be enough duplications going on. So let's start adapting this. I'm going to start with the background one, with the white one, which says some red text and it responds to your scroll. So in the Marquee Advanced one here, this is the actual wrapper. I'm going to give this one, let's just use the current classes, make it white, make sure that the marquee gets a different font. I've loaded the Pangram Neukorp one, change some of the text styling, and I'm going to set the color to black. I've loaded that in as a variable. And so then in the actual item, let's see, the Marquee Advanced P currently has a size of 1 EM, which looks rather big. So that makes me believe that on a parent, yes, there is a max font size going on this div over here for the advanced item. But we can leave that for now. So I'm going to copy the text, paste that in here. I want that to be red, by the way. Not, let's see, I think I don't have that color loaded in my project yet. So I'm going to copy that, actually just start making my body red. There we go. That's bright and cool. I'm going to give the marquee a custom color of red, and I'm going to remove the arrow. Important though on this arrow, so the rightmost item in your marquee item is going to be the item that takes care of the space between the elements. So we're not working with any flex gaps, but the rightmost element inside of every item, in this case the arrow, has a margin right. So this is the space between your elements basically, which is important to remember. So I'm going to remove that, and inside we can add marquee, advanced, let's call this one dot or so. And if we check out the page, it should be 40 pixels. So normally that's 2.5 EMs. So let's try that. I think that's going to be rather, oh, we don't need the font size. Sorry, we need that over here. But as we see, because we got the EMs going on in the advanced item, this is rather large. So I'm actually just going to remove it. I know this might be a bit going back and forth right now, but that's the nature sometimes with resources, right? So this one has to be 140 pixels divided by 16 EMs, gives it 8.75. And then this one is 2.5 EMs, but it's off screen right now. So I think if we add, no, if we just quickly move this one to the left so we can see the dot. So 2.5 EMs, let's give it a background color of the variable called current color with camel casing so that it takes the text color. It's a nice little trick. Give it a large enough border radius to be round. And then I want this to be maybe the same distance as it is white before the next element shows up. And so now you see that if we're going to start duplicating these items, that the margin right on the rightmost element creates the space between. And it's actually a little too much compared to the space on the left. This looks uniform. So now I can remove the second element and actually remove the transform so that everything is set correctly. So don't worry about any space here on the left, because once it starts moving, there is going to be an item on the left of it which has margin right. So there's always going to be space around it. Don't worry about that. I actually want a bit of extra vertical padding as well. So maybe, I don't know, 1 EM or so. That looks quite all right. And then I want this marquee advanced to be rotated. So I'm going to rotate it maybe -8. And now we're running into our first little issue, and that we sometimes get with online resources. And that is that this one is set to 100 VW. So if we just increase that to maybe 110, so that since the bounding box is rotated, it now obviously shows these edges, which we don't want. So we can just increase that a bit. 105 is enough even, so that it nicely overflows the page. So that's one. Now I want a second one, which I'm going to call maybe is top, because it's going to overlap. And then I'm actually also going to wrap these in a marquee wrap. Give that a position of relative with a center flexbox, so that we can give these advanced marquee things a absolute position. So we don't have to position it, since our flex wrapper takes care of that. And I'm doing this so that my top marquee can sit on top of the bottom one without having to mess with negative margins or transforms. And so my actual, they nicely overlap. Let's see. Now, this top one shouldn't be white. I believe it should be black and have some white text inside. So I'm going to call just quickly. No, it's going to have white text inside. It's going to be black. I happen to know that we will have some 6-pixel white borders. So let's quickly set that like this. And then I also want this one to have a box shadow. I think it creates a cool overlap to it. And if I'm not mistaken, yes, 15 and a lower opacity, black. Maybe increase it to like 30 so it really stands out. Nice. And now this one will also get some different text saying this marquee goes on forever. And, oh, by the way, we see now that the dot turned white simply because we changed the text color. So we don't need any extra classes on the dot to make it change. And so now I want this top marquee to, like, no, the bottom one, so it needs to go left, and the top one I want to go right. So this one is already set to left on default, and maybe we can make it slow down a bit more. So I believe I have to lower the value. I could be wrong, but we'll find out. And the top one, I want it to go to the right instead of to the left, and we can keep that speed to see what's going on here. So now if we publish, and basically all I've done is, custom styling, and in this case, only changing one directional attribute. So let's see. And it actually works. There we go. By lowering the value, I actually sped up that thing. So in this case, I would probably increase the value. We could try that. Sometimes I'm too lazy to read documentation, and I just do this by trying. So now if I would dramatically increase the value, I expect this one to slow down. I could just read the page, that's what we've written the documentation for, but it slows down. And sometimes this is enough. And this is cool. And now I don't have any arrows to change direction on as we scroll. But yeah, this was very quick to implement. And sometimes we do have some tips. Let's see if I've missed anything. We could change the scroll speed, that the speed at which the marquee accelerates during the scroll. So if we try that one, maybe with the background one, because it's so slow. And then if we increase the scroll speed to, let's try 5. I assume now, again, lowering the number will speed it up. Okay. That published. It actually didn't. Okay, you see, I should read or update the documentation to state that more clearly. It's all right. Probably there's a duplication of a multiplication happening in the JavaScript. I haven't even read the JavaScript for this resource specifically to try and see if I could figure it out Yeah, now it really speeds up as you scroll. So this is fun. And I haven't changed anything in the provided JavaScript from the resource. So yeah, that's it. I think that concludes it. This should give you all the hands-on things that you need to create very fun marquees with whatever design you want that respond to your scroll, respond to your scroll direction, and just create a cool and interactive element on your page. So make sure to follow along. I'm definitely going to be making more videos like these to sort of speed up your development workflow and get into the creative part more quickly without having to break your brain on how to create elements such as these. So if you're interested in that, make sure to head to osmo.supply, where you can become a member, access our vault, and play with these things yourself. So have a good day, and hopefully see you in the next video.